I just can't. How do I look at this team as it stands right now with 5 players? We're less than a month out. We're nearly to beta.
Like, out of the minds of Moria, just like rip a Marvel statue out of the ground and have it be perfect.
It is like as lean as it gets without like breaking any rules.
The New York Excelsior. So, 5-man roster. Let's go through them real quick. Because there's only 5 people. You don't have to take too much time here. Flora, Yaki, Kellen, Myeongbong, Gangnam Jin. And just by the way, there is technically a 6th player, just no one knows who the hell it is. No one knows who this 6th player is. Welcome to the New York Excelsior team preview for 2022. They have shut up, Yiska. It's me. Don't leak it. It's me. They have Kuki on the staff as well as the new head coach, with Undyne as their assistant coach. This is just kind of like Florida version 2 in a way. You know, you bring over Kuki, he brings over Yaki and Gangnam Jin, and soon they probably get Gargoyle, and then there you go. That's Florida Mayhem again. But a very impressive looking team. I think they kept some. Just one player. They kept a really good player in Flora. Picked up one of the hottest rookies in Kellen. Got 2 very capable flex supports, Myeongbong and Gangnam Jin. No main support is maybe going to hurt them a little bit. Yaki and Flora is crazy. Yaki's still one of the best talents in the league.
100%, yeah.
Hard carried Florida Mayhem last year, even though they were losing. That was impressive. So, I mean, New York as a team have, I think, one of the highest ceilings in the league. But because they are so inflexible, it feels like they are easily screwed by meta. What do you guys think?
Oh, 100%. I think you take the words right out of my mouth. Like, if I'm rolling dice on teams, right? I look at New York and I think they can strike fairly reasonably high, given like a good ideal situation for them. But consistency is not what I am seeing from this team at the 13th of April is this month. April, yes it is. Okay. I just can't. How do I look at this team as it stands right now with 5 players? We're less than a month out. We're nearly to beta. You need to be making some moves. Like, this is the team that like we were waiting. Like, we're pushing back our dates to like record because we're excited for this team to be making some moves, bringing some people over. Let's get that part 2 NYXL teaser trailer opening, anime, whatever bullshit. Like, this is just the start, right? And as we inch closer, I'm starting to wonder if it's not just the start, if that's just it. And that has me concerned.
Now, let me bring up one other thing before we talk about any specific member on the team. Their ability to sign players now is not good.
Yeah.
Because I assume they're going to go for Korean players, the full Korean team, but they're physically in North America, in the United States. So visas are now an issue. And they already, by the way, I believe they had a bit of a delay getting to NA anyway in the first. They're there now, so you don't have to be worried. They are all there. They don't have an all those situation. They currently, I believe they're all currently in NA, but even in this offseason, there was a minor delay for them. So getting a visa for a Korean player to go to North America now is like, it'll take some time. If they don't figure it out and figure out what they're going to do with their roster, they're stuck with the 5 people they've got. And that's it. That's literally it. Nothing else to work with there. Just the 5 they have is the 5 they will have for however long, because they simply can, unless there's like, you can't even get, I was going to say, you can't even get someone like Venom. Not that you would, but like Venom is it Venom a North American player? He was Korean, obviously, but
yeah.
Was he in Korea or was he in North America? I don't even know. I can't remember. But hypothetically, you'd have to get someone like Beishu, who's actually American, but he's Korean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to, like, that legitimately is like someone you'd have to get, because you cannot get anyone else, because if you want to get them for Korea, it's going to take too long.
Yep. And I mean, like, the base of this team is good, but I cannot, like, it would be a miracle, and I do believe that if this team was consistently like good the entire season. it would have to be like a very rigid meta, and they would have to start off like on the right foot. It just seems so unlikely to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they can't get Bishu because he's a manager on Houston Outlaws currently.
Okay, never mind.
Unlucky.
Yeah. I think all we said about the other teams, about the inflexibility, about one main tank, about like those things. I'll also say the 6 signing doesn't help with that whatsoever. Like, this is really like rolling the dice.
Mhm.
And maybe
Oh,
we
yeah.
find out something about Overwatch 2 and the nature of it, where like sticking with the same 5 is just the way to go. There was some argument that this was maybe true for Overwatch 1, you would say.
Okay. That Yiska, it is true, but only when you find the exact 5 you're looking for.
Right.
When the season hasn't even started, we're not even into beta.
Yes.
The teams have barely played enough of the new game. You do not have that 5. I guarantee you don't have that 5 yet. The only teams I would trust to have that 5 are Dragons, and guess what? They even have 8 players.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, fuck me. The team that most likely has the 5 don't even have 5 players, they have 8.
Yeah, I think that is a very important distinction to make. If I'm, for instance, the Shanghai Dragons, I assign 12 players, have my block of marble, and then over the season I just like shizel like this perfect like statue out of it by like.
You meant chisel?
Chisel? Is it not chisel? Oh, well, chisel.
Yeah. No, it's not shit in German, no.
Well, anyway, then you like, it makes sense that you then are able to. You're very unlikely to, like, out of the Mines of Moria, just like rip a Marvel statue out of the ground and have it be perfect by the instant, right? Like the process of elimination over the actually applied season is what makes the starting 6 the strongest option, you would say, right? And even then, the starting 6 was not always the key to Overwatch 1, as we saw, like with the flexibility of the San Francisco Shock in the main tank position, or even on the DPS position, right? And I think that like starting with 5 is already like putting it all on black and like rolling, right?
Yeah.
It's not even strategic gambling. It's not like you're playing poker where you're like, oh, you know, I'm gonna wait for the turn on this in this hand. You are literally just playing roulette. Like, I just put it on this number and just see where the ball rolls. You're playing full RNG. You know, you're not even applying strategy to the RNG. You're just doing full RNG.
Yep.
Look, and if this team had stayed in APAC, I mind this significantly less because of the potential of mid-season pickups, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
But now that they are in NA,
any pickup at any time doesn't, you know, mid-season, pre-season, anytime. I mean, they can just simply get a Korean play whenever they want.
Yes.
But now, no, not possible.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a team that goes on streaks based on meta.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're unlucky, then there's 0 metas that work for you. And if you're lucky, then there is 1 meta that works for you, and it lasts like 3 stages.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this
Which
is
in this
very
case will be a double
volatile
flex
team.
support meta.
Yes.
They need a flex support meta, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because somebody going to be playing Lucio on that team otherwise.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's only the beginning of their problems. You'd also have to have, you know, you'd have to assume Kellen is good on the off tanks, and you know, if it's a double hit scan, you need Yaki to. I mean, I'm sure Yaki's hit scans might be good enough. Or if, let's say it's a double projectile, you're going to need Flora to play projectile. I mean, I don't even want to begin to think about what that looks like.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's actually get into the roster. Where do we even start? Why don't we start at the best part? Well, debatably one of the best parts. Let's just talk about Flora and Yaki. Probably their best. Well, Yaki is probably just their best player. If you had to name one player on this team and say that's their best player, probably Yaki, right? Does anyone disagree with that? It's probably Yaki.
Yeah, it's probably Yaki.
So super flexible, projectile, some hit scan in there. Tracer, very important. It's got that going for him. It's going to be their standout player. Is this going to be another season where Yaki is just going to have to hard carry, you know, put the entire team in his backpack, just like the Florida Mayhem last year? Is that what's going to happen again?
Well, like it kind of has to. Like we talked, previously about like the soul of a team, and it feels like Yaki is going to be like the focal point. If NYXL are doing well, it's going to be off the back of Yaki. Like he's consistently been a playmaker throughout his entire career. Um, the question now with New York is, does he have the right support? Not in terms of the role, but just like the pieces around him. When you if we're gambling and we're streaking poorly and our confidence is down and we're putting all of our cards on our 1-star player to like get things done, and that's no discredit to like somebody like Kellen or Flora, like good enough to be in the league 100%, genuinely might be good, but Yaki's a little bit different. Yaki's genuinely like kind of a playmaker, kind of is like one of the only people like that has perennially been somebody to like turn games on their own. And it has to. If NYXL do well, it's off the back of Yaki. Full stop.
Yeah.
What about Flora?
I mean,
Does it do anything
Flora.
for you?
No.
Really?
No. All right.
Not
Okay.
really.
No, I disagree. I think Flora is like probably couldn't really shine last season, but that's a top.
No, 100%.
That was a top
I think he
tier
still
rookie
did.
prospect last year.
He still did shine though. He shined even though New York struggled. Is my take.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I want to almost go as far as to say that like Flora is like 95% of the talent that Yaki is.
Okay.
He's like, he definitely has S tier potential.
Yep.
But he has to deliver, right? Like that has to be something that works out.
Is he kind of like the new Glister?
Ooh, wait.
Do you know what I mean? Like kind of the new Glister.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, oh, here's this exciting new hit scan talent that has the potential to be S tier.
Yep.
You know?
I like that comparison. Yeah.
Got a bit of a Glister energy, even though Glister's still in the league. But it's funny,
Right.
Glister doesn't have his own Glister energy anymore, but Flora does.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Also, as Eric is pointing out, very highly rated on the rank ladder, is one of the only players in 4700 currently being gatekept by Proper. Understandable.
True. Not something to completely discount, but yeah, I'm good. not that I would replace him, but it's not like I haven't seen enough of him, and yes, I trust and believe that somebody like AVRL, would know.
I just enjoy supply factual evidence. Joe's like, I'm good. Like,
I mean, being highly rated on ladder, miss me
God.
if I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
Like, and
I
don't hold him.
Wasn't the only thing said, but
no,
sure.
and that's not what I'm saying. But when you look at that last season, it's not his fault either. New York was also just kind of mid then too. And it doesn't feel like this season is any different, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, yes, this is a talented DPS duo, but can they consistently field the roster that the Overwatch League and Overwatch 2 is going to throw at them? I certainly hope so.
I agree that this team has a similar feel as NYXL had last season. In terms of like they have some like incredible rookie. They have an incredible rookie, arguably the best rookie. Coming in.
Sure.
They have, or sorry, outside of proper. Sorry, I'm still in the improper like mind frame.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of like really good pieces. On paper, you think they should be capable of doing something, and then for some reason they weren't able to put that on the road. Now, I would wager this is largely down to the same inconsistencies that we have seen, especially from Yakpang in previous years.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So they, like, when they actually were on, they were on. I felt like they took games of Shanghai. Yes, that was a Shanghai that had the sandbags filled and whatnot. Fair enough. But I think that team showed that it could have been better than it was. And it's now down to the coaches to sort of like kind of, bring some consistency into their performances. And I think this is also as a coaching season, this is sort of make or break for Cookie.
Sure.
Like, what kind of a coach is he? Is he the coach that led the Mayhem to some of the best results, or is it the coach that, like, you know, almost had the Mayhem bottom out?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
OG was his choice, right?
This is one of those situations now where, I mean, Kookie can really pull out some magic and can get a lot of respect if he can turn this New York roster into a winning roster. Because when we're going to get to this, when we talk about the rankings, I still have high expectations for this team. And despite how scuffed their roster looks flexibility wise, I think they still have the talent to reach some of these expectations. And if they fail to reach them, and this is an underperforming team that's going to end up in bottom half, then we got some issues.
Yeah.
So Flora and Yaki. First of all, do we agree that this is the best part of their roster?
Oh,
anyone
yeah,
else?
sure.
You guys agree with that statement,
without a
or
doubt.
maybe not? Yiska's thinking about it.
Well, it certainly isn't the sports.
Yiska's not sure if he thinks this is the best part about their roster.
I think so. It has to be. I think I would have liked to have another DPS if you can afford it. I'm thinking like Kellen is a very good talent, but you definitely want a second tank for this aforementioned. Like, I can't shit on Faults or Vancouver and then not say that Kellen will have the same issue. I just think he's a different talent level. I think, that said, okay, you ready for this? I'm going to make enemies here. I think there's a very good chance that Kellen will be Muse of this season.
Damn, you're hurting my soul. You're hurting my soul.
I can't.
I'm not even.
I don't know enough about.
Not even talking about the dynasty. You're hurting my soul. Let's talk about Kellen. Let's talk about the tank line. So, background. He is by, and this is really important to know. To me, he's like the Mag coming into the season as a rookie. Now, for all the fans that are like, oh, Mag, that guy, just be very clear that when Mag came into the season, he was like the tank of contenders coming into the season. I don't know what the fuck Washington did, but they ruined him. Now, talking about Kellen, maybe Mag ruined himself. I'm not going to just blame the team.
Very true.
I don't know what
that's
happened.
what I was thinking as well.
He could have ruined himself. Maybe the team. Maybe it's a combination of factors. Maybe everything ruined him. Maybe the city of DC ruined him. I don't know. Enough about Mag. My point is, Kellen is kind of like, I don't think he's quite Mag level in reputation, but he's the closest tank to being Mag level in reputation coming out of contenders. So I would be very upset to see Kellen flop if that happens. I'm not saying he will. I hope he doesn't, and I don't think he will. I mean, then again, I said the same thing about Mag.
Right.
Yeah, you really shouldn't. Like, then again, at the same time, you are playing a tank, and tank is the role that, like, if your team sucks, you look like shit.
Yeah.
Tank is the first role that looks like complete shit if your team is not good, right? So, unfortunately, tanks live and die. And this is, by the way, a minor commentary on the game design of Overwatch, in such that tank is such a role that is, you know, the success of tank is so highly determined by the skill level of your teammates, which is partially why tank is fucking bad to play in Overwatch 1, because you literally can't play the game, enjoy the game, or win the game unless your other teammates are good, whereas at least other roles can carry. Tank, you're just like, well, I hope I get healed. Cross your fingers, roll some dice. And that even that gameplay extends to the Overwatch League level, where if your team sucks, I don't care what tank. You can put Super on the LA Valiant. You can swap Silver through your Super. LA Valiant aren't winning. I'm fucking sorry. They're not. If your team sucks, your tank looks fucking bad. That's the truth. So, if New York suck, then Kellen's going to look awful. He is. He's just going to look bad. I don't know. There's only so much you can do there. But I think he's got the skill. The problem is, when you go into a solo tank game, he doesn't play off tanks, obviously, because he's a main tank player. He's going to have to learn off tanks from scratch. It would be really good for New York to get a second tank and an off tank, but bro, time's running out.
Yep.
I mean, they needed to get that. Maybe they already have one. Maybe their 6 players randomly an off tank. But
Possibly.
I mean, we don't know. I can't assume anything. I just have to assume that the 5 players they have is all they have because they just doesn't sound like they have another player. I think legally they're supposed to have another player, but it just doesn't feel like they do. So I'm just gonna pretend they don't. Kellen is one of the most exciting rookies coming into this year, but I feel like he's been put onto a team that is, I want to say they're built for success, but they're set up for failure. If that makes sense.
100%. Oh, I hear you. Like easily. Like Kellen, along with the rest of this team, have like a Herculean effort in front of them. I think him especially leading the boulder carry, right? You're stepping into a role that is being reworked, retooled. You have multiple heroes that are new, be it Doomfist, be it Orisa, be it God knows whatever the hell else they do, whatever other changes. You know, now Winston's got like a zappy little pew pew move. Cool. Like, we don't know how those changes are going to affect things. I can't imagine him being like all that tragic on his typical main tanks. That being said, now you have to pilot the flex tanks. Now you have to worry about whatever Doomfist or Orisa looks like. Like, I hear what you're saying, and I trust and believe in the confidence that you have in Kellen, but it's tough for him to do that alone. That would be, I think, a success as is. And then you look at the rest of the team, and it feels like everybody also has to do this. It's like the DPS probably are the safest bets. You look at the supports, one of them is going to have to play main support. I don't think that either of them are bad enough to be like tragic at it, just like how I'm judging Kellen, but there's so much like other heavy lifting that this team has to do and other questions that they have to answer and things that they just have to gamble and Las Vegas their way out of this. I can't in good faith tell you this team is good.
What is okay? Now I gotta ask you again. I guess, like, what is good?
What is good? Above middle of the table.
Okay.
What is good, baby? Don't anyway. Above middle of the table is good.
Yeah. Shit, I'd even like to see them consistently middle of the table. I think that would be a fucking success.
Have we all talked about Kellen? I think we have now. Why don't we talk about, before we get any further, before we get Joe's good or not good rating, why don't we talk about the supports real quick?
Mm-hmm.
You brought over Gangnam Jim from Florida Mayhem. Got Myung Bong from Boston Uprising. So Myung Bong's finally escaped from Huck. But he's almost stepped out of the fire and out of the frying pan into the fire a little bit here. It's a double flex support line. Now, if this was a double flex support meta, great. Good job. Well done, Kooky. You've nailed it. If there was even one main support on this team, you'd think, oh yeah, pretty good support line. You've whoever the fuck main support, and then 2 really good flex supports. Yeah, I like it. It's good. Sounds great. You know, this is a team that probably should, like, I think Jexa could have landed on this team. You know, you get Jexa, Myeongbong, Gangnam Jin. Sounds like a solid backline. I'd go for that.
That's
2 thumbs
tighten
up
things
from me.
up. Yep.
2 thumbs up from me, but that's not the case. That's not the world we live in. The world we live in does not have a main support. Now, I know what you're all thinking. I think there's some people listening out there like, well, do you need a main support? You know, isn't there all this rumor and talk about double flex support? I'm like, could be, but there also could very easily be a single patch, one new hero released that completely flips shit over. You know, it only takes such a small detail change for a main support to just come flying through the doors, Reddit Lucio style, and boom, now somebody's going to have to be your Lucio player.
Yep.
And you have 2 flex supports. So that's what I'm saying. When the team has no flexibility, only one patch change can screw them at any point. Any point. So I'm worried. I think sadly, I think the supports are the weakest part of the roster.
Yeah, and you know, and it sucks too, man. Like, how is this the all we're getting? The 6th man better be good. I'll tell you that much right now. Come power rankings, if the 6th man is some goofy troll signing, then I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get the pitchforks out and
forget about the 6th man right now.
I'm sorry,
because
Joe.
we'll assume it because because it is a troll signing. So just work with what you got in the 5. Work with the 5 you got, Joe.
It can't be good, bro. It
Work
can't.
with the 5 you got.
It can't. It tilts me to no end that like it feels so New York right now feels like I got half my Amazon package in the mail and they just left the rest of it at the warehouse. Like where are my boxer briefs, bro? I had a couple books, like 1 tank, 2 DPS. Sick, bro. I hope you roll snake eyes. Like it would be tragic to have these caliber of players. Kellen's good.
What did you guys think about Lastro and Iris? I wasn't here for that.
I thought they were alright. I think they're pretty good. Like I think
You did?
Harsha had like some positive things to say when it came to like flex supports like transitioning well. And I tend to agree. I don't think it's going to be like that crazy to have somebody like maybe Yunbong be able to play like a Lucio to a decent degree, 100%. Like, yeah, probably. My issue for New York is that they like the whole roster feels like it has to do that. So it's just more ways for them to lose the gamble where it's like, well, can Kellen play Doomfist if he has to? Can he play Orisa if he has to? Can he play the Diva if he has to? Can he play Sigma? Like, what about the DPS? Like, is Flora actually this cracked fucking, prospect that we just really didn't get to see last year? Is Yaki going to continue to be good? I think that's a safe bet, but everything feels like it's just super questionable because they don't have any redundancy. It is like as lean as it gets without like breaking any rules. And I'm cool with being lean and mean, but this is just like, bro, do you need like a protein shake? This is rough.
Yiska, your thoughts on we'll just focus on supports for now, mainly.
So, I mean, Gangnam Jin and Myeonbong sort of feel like they are suffering from the same disease last season.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're in a not that good team, probably a pretty good player, especially the season before they were considered a good player. And now we're kind of in this limbo state where we're like, are they still good? Can they still do it? One of them will have to pick up Lucio. Not sure who would do that. I think they have something to prove, especially Myeonbong for him. It's true. I think more so than Gangnam maybe.
Sure.
Because Gangnam did have that success with Florida for a while Myeonbong really never had it with Boston, I would say. But yeah, it's like, it's a weird combination. I would have definitely liked it more if they had gotten someone in from the back line. Like a main support or something. I would feel much more confident. This team is also, once again, weird to me. Because, okay, you keep Flora, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, Gangnam Jin and Myeonbong probably weren't too expensive for you to get.
Probably not.
But you probably had a lot of competition on Kellen and Yaki. So what did you tell these guys? Right? Like, are you paying them top dollar? Or, like, is there maybe, like, a way you could have used your resources in a way that now leaves you with more than 5 players? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Like, it's not a team that has cheaped out, right? Like, we still have some pretty good pieces here. But I'm very concerned for their season, man. Like, once again, I think they'll just be super streaky. I think I kind of agree. I think we are sort of overestimating how hard it is going to be to play a feasible Lucio. Problem is, to play a Stellar Lucio, it's like,
yeah, that's
now there's like 2 people in the Overwatch League that have ever done that, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So we'll see how important that will be, to be the mechanical Lucio player, to be the guy that knows the ins and outs, like the timings, be able to track while ward riding, like just be the funny ass roll EJ gone, right? But maybe it's fine to just like speed boost your team into a ball, and then like at the end, who stances, it's fine, right? Like Yaki is going to handle this. So I think this is entirely meta dependent. I think. Do you want me to like outline a range?
We'll get there.
Okay.
All right, let's outline the range. Have I talked about sports yet? I think I did. So yeah, let's talk about where the kind of macro of this team a little bit more now after discussing their team a little bit. I think we've outlined a lot of their weaknesses. It's crazy because their strengths are wild. So if you get the perfect meta, let's talk about what the perfect meta looks like for a team like this. Perfect meta is Yaki probably gets to play Tracer, Florida gets to play like an Ashe or a hit scan. Winston is amazing. Kellen gets to play his best hero on the Winston, and it's a double flexible meta. You get to play Zen Anna or something stupid like that, right?
Yeah.
And then that's you. If that is the meta, then NYXL is by far one of the best teams in that meta that you can find. Just simply one of the best. They're incredible at that meta. Now, if you don't play that, if that's not the meta, then whoops, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be really bad. Well, I don't know. It's going to be really bad. It's just going to be extremely difficult because now a bunch of players are going to have to pivot into things they're not comfortable in, and you're going to have to hope that these players are flexible as shit. But problem is, I've never seen it. I've never seen these players flex into the roles they're going to have to flex into. Now, strangely, I'm actually more confident in players like Kellen to do that because I think, well, he's just going to have to. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be, but every tank's going to have to just do that. So at least in my defense of Kellen, it would be that, well, if Kellen's going to have to flex into tanks he's not familiar with, so does everyone else.
So is Piggy.
Least, well, not even the solo tanks, just all tanks. At least like every other tank is in the same situation he is. Right? Whereas the support situation, it's like that was totally avoidable.
Yep.
I don't know. In some ways, NYXL's not that far off from having similar issues as Houston. Just that Houston has, is it one more DPS? Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I wasn't here to talk about Houston, but you know, I would only have Houston a little bit higher than NYXL, but not even by that much. And that's the one extra DPS does help a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I probably rate off tanks a little bit higher than main tanks if we're going to talk about solo tanking. That's meta dependent as well, but like just generally speaking. So yeah, I mean, I got to put them one below Houston, wherever Houston is. I wasn't here to talk about Houston, but for me, New York is probably a team that I think is most likely middle of the pack. I mean, they could fall very low if things just really don't go well for them, but it would require teams like the Vancouvers and the Parises of the world to really step up big time, maybe even Mayhem. So I'm going to say for me, New York are anywhere between 5 and 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a 4 in NA. That's a 4-team range. So 5, 6, 7, or 8. Because they could land on a great meta and they could be top 4. Or they could just be, you know, bottom half of NA because they get fucked by meta and they have their flexibility is not great. But player quality wise, maybe they still just like gatekeep worse teams because they simply have better players. I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think like best case, like you just like rolled the nuts at the craps table. Yeah, I can see them challenging Houston probably. Do I think that's like feasible for the entire season? Probably not. I think they could probably reach 5th, and then it's like a big swing down to like 8, 9, probably somewhere in there for me. Another thing to kind of, or I'm actually kind of interested in hearing you guys mull over this, but I think a team like New York probably doesn't do fantastic when it comes to like international competition because of like the meta diversity that like the other region is going to bring, and you just don't have the flexibility to kind of like match that or be able to like adapt to it. So it feels like another like Dallas Justice situation where they're going to run like, or maybe even a little Atlanta in some ways, where they run kind of like what they know, and like if it works then it works and we rolled the dice and it just, you know, poggers. but like there's not going to be a ton of like agility from this team in terms of strategic depth. It feels like. Is that weird to say?
No, that makes perfect sense. Like, I think once again, like that, I feel like that it's a role. You almost have to ascribe a pretty big range to them because of that,
Yeah.
depending on how long like the meta that they're good at lasts. I think they probably won't be as underwhelming as they were last season. I think they're very clearly going to. I think they're stronger than Boston in my eyes. But maybe not by much.
I don't think by much. I think they have to do some like serious work in whatever metas that like are going to be like excellent for them, because I think Boston's like going to be the more consistent team over the season. Like you're almost guaranteed for New York to just like bottom out a stage and just like be pretty bad.
Yeah. Now
Whereas Boston probably can battle.
I think I'm being pretty hypocritical in terms of like evaluating the entire situation, because I had Houston pretty high last episode. For some reason, I can't go this hard for NYXL. I think my range would also reasonable range is probably 6 to 9. Yeah, they are definitely like 6 to 9. They're like in that Justice range. Justice, Toronto, definitely stronger than Toronto though.
Yep.
Like Boston is in there. I think you could talk about Mayhem being in there, Eternal being in there. That's sort of like, yeah.
Agreed. And I think like for Houston in particular, like I don't think that 5th seed is like guaranteed by any means, for a lot of the same reasons we talk about in NYXL. Like there are some questions there. Granted, they have a coaching staff that I trust way more than I do for NYXL, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I do like the depth at their DPS, and some of their, like, I don't think they're too far off caliber wise. I like Pelican Merrick quite a bit. I think Dante's quite good, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, I like their flexibility, even just if it's just a little bit more. Because a lot of like the rest of it, it's like solo tank. Yeah. A lot of the same questions. Solo, not solo, but like double flex support. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Like same kind of questions. What edges it out for me is the little bit more flexibility at DPS. Because I think like peak meta against peak meta, New York, Houston, I think they can battle. Who's going to be more consistent over the season? It feels like Houston.
And, why? Just because the one extra player?
One extra player, and I rate Jungpuck's coaching staff way higher than I do New York's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Like, you can only do so much coaching when your toolkit is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, how much coaching can you do to get Lastro or Iris or Lucio or Gangnam Jim Myeongbong or Lucio when they don't have one? There's only so much coaching. I mean, the solution is you just get a Lucio player. You just get a main support player. Because, like, trying to coach that into a player that doesn't have it, when you have to go up against players
who do have it,
like Funny Astro, who's like,
yeah,
it's not just him. You have some god tier main supports who can play some crazy shit at a high level in this league, and that applies to every role. Just by the way, but you are never, ever competing against a caliber player like a Funny Astro or a Lee Jae-gon. If you're forcing a flex sport to swap onto this hero that they don't play. It will take them so long to get there, if they can even get there at all. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even know if coaching can help you there. It can help you in some ways, but pretty limited. Role swaps don't always work. I mean, there's a reason they don't often work. Just because the skill set and how much time you have to put into master something is completely different. It's just, it can be insurmountable. I don't even know how many effective support role swaps we've seen.
Not many.
Like, I mean, I've spoken plenty to Custer about this, who went through the same role swap from flexible to main support, And he's in his own words, and he said this publicly as well on his own streams. It's like when you go from flexible to main support, it's not like, oh, I'm just playing Lucio now, lol. You're playing Lucio against people that are like unbelievably good at Lucio, and you're some Zen player coming through, or you have to learn from scratch. It's not easy. You cannot compare. It is fucking hard.
Yep.
So yeah, there's that. I don't know. I'm only willing to put them like one below Houston.
Yeah.
Like, and so what did I say for them? I say fifth. Yeah,
sixth
so
to, like,
I would probably have Houston as maybe number 6 right now, which means on an average day, probably NYXL is 7th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is even my top 5 then? In no particular order, my top 5, something like Shock, Dallas, Glads, into Atlanta. Fuck, maybe Houston, which means I guess NYXL might be 6th for me at best. I said 5th best, and that would mean they can maybe beat Houston, which on paper they could, depending on the meta.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they kind of, to me, Houston, NYXL are kind of floating around the same zone. That makes sense. But I think they're both above. Both of those teams are above the Toronto, Washington.
Oh, easily.
What was the other team I said? Toronto, Washington.
Boston.
No, I said Toronto, Washington, New York as the same tier.
Right.
Well, let's just put them all the same. I don't know. I'll just slap them all together. Houston, New York, Toronto, Washington. That's like another 4 piece. You know, I have my top 4, middle 4, and then 5 teams at the bottom. I don't know. Is kind of what I'm looking at.
I like that.
So yeah, that's my any final thoughts on New York as we wrap up?
No, I certainly hope they have more coming, because this team deserves to be within like a clear top 5. I don't think they're too far off from top 5.
Keep hoping, because it's not going to be easy for them to get anybody.
Nope.
No, I agree.
It's not going to be easy for them to get anybody coming.
Yeah.
Not with their setup.
Just banking on some signings they've yet to announce, because those crispy videos are hard to make. Let's just hope them YouTube editors are fast at work.
They needed to bring so many more players to the United States.
Maybe they get one of the Boston tanks.
Yeah, but even then, that's the meme. It's like, what are you going to get? Marvel? You're going to get another main tag?
Yeah.
Your choices are Marvel and NYXL, because I assume they wouldn't want Punk because of the full Korean thing.
Yeah.
Right? You're not gonna get someone. You're not gonna get Piggy.
No. I mean, I'd be charitable if even giving, like, putting NYXL in this roster. I'm already like, okay, this is better. This is a lot safer.
No, it's not. He's just a much worse Kellen. You just got a bench rider for Kellen. Like, this is what does that do? It doesn't do anything for the team.
Oh,
I'd rather just not have NYXL there. You know.
Yeah, never mind. He's
just the worst Kellen. Like, what the fuck? He does nothing. So,
I don't know why I had it in my head that he was a flex.
What New York should have done is kept Kalios.
Yeah.
They didn't keep Kalios.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Unlucky. You gave Kalios way to Justice, and now Justice might beat you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's possible.
That could legitimately happen, and then New York would be big sad. Okay, that is so. The conclusion for New York is, if the meta works out for you, boom, you have one of the best teams. But the meta do be fickle, which means more likely than not, meta's not going to work out for you, and you are not prepared to play in bad metas. So,
yeah,
you better hope you're lucky at the roulette table. Is all I'm going to say. That is going to be our team preview for New York Excelsior for the 2022 season.